Yep.
Then we'll be looking at the first one. So it's called D, cosine 2t equals 1/2. So this is the first time when we've been dealing with sine or cosine that we are asked to solve an equation. And when we solve our equations, we're only going to use graphing calculators to solve those. So there is a way to do it algebraically by using inverse operations. That's a pre-calc thing. So when we solve equations, we're always going to use our calculator. So this is our method for solving those. So we have cosine of 2t, we want to equal 1/2. So we want to find out what theta value. So t they're using to represent theta. So what theta value can I put in for t to make cosine 2t equal to 1/2? Well, to do it, we're going to use our calculator. You're going to head into your y equals, and we'll put in that the first equation there, the first y equals. We're going to put cosine 2x. So x is your theta. You can see you have a t there, you have a theta there, so it represents all of those. In your y2, we're going to put 1/2. So we want to see when is it equal to 1/2. So if you had alpha y equals, you could put a 1/2. If you don't have a fraction button on your calculator, you can always just put 0.5. Put 0.5. The next thing you're going to want to make sure is that your calculator is in radian mode. So hit to mode, and if you go down to where it says radian and degree, you want to make sure that you are in radian. So we're going to be graphing these in radian today. So make sure that one's highlighted black with the white letters. Now we are got that set. Now we're going to head to our window. So when we start looking at our window, we're going to look at problem 5 says to solve this between 0 and 2 pi. So we're only looking at theta values from 0 to 2 pi. Theta, remember, is your x's. So 0 is going to be my minimum because it wants just 0 to 2 pi. If you're wondering where I'm looking, I'm just looking at the directions for number 5. It says solve each equation in the interval from 0 to 2 pi. So 0 is my minimum, 2 pi is my maximum. Once you hit 2 pi, it's going to change to a decimal. That's all right. In our scale, we'll just count by pi's. So to make a scale that's in the terms of pi there, so we'll count by pi. So I change my scale to pi. Next is looking at your amplitude of your function. So the amplitude of this one is the number that would be in front of your cosine, which is 1. To be able to see the top and the bottom of my curve, I'm going to go from -1 to 1, and maybe we count by 0.5s. So we're going to count by 0.5 as we go down the y-axis. Now, if you have that window, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, you can pause right here and set up that window. This will allow you to see this cosine function and the graph of 1/2. Okay, so there would be our graph going from -1 to 1. So we could see the top of the graph, the bottom of the graph, and then we've got our y equals 1/2 cutting through there. I want to find out what are the values where cosine of 2t is equal to 1/2. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for these intersections right there, right there, right there. So I got 4 different spots where it's going to be intersecting between those two. So to do that, I'm going to hit second calc. I'm going to go down to number 5. I'm going to get as close as I can. I'm going to just go left to right. So I'm going to get as close as I can to that point. And I'm just going to hit enter, enter, enter. And there's my intersection. So my intersection is about 0.52. So one of my solutions is going to be 0.52. Rounding to the nearest hundredth, the 3 is going to keep it still as a 2. Then I'm going to hit second calc again, go down to number 5, just hit number 5, and then get your cursor as close as you can to that next point. Enter, enter, enter. The next is 2.617, so that would be 2.62. Next calculation, again, I'm hitting second trace, and then down to number 5, intersect, and I'm going to get my cursor as close as I can to the next one, and then hit enter, 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 and my intersection is 3.665, so that'd be 3.67. And lastly, hit second calc down to number 5, and then get as close as I can to that last intersection, enter, 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 and we're at 5.759, which is 5.76. And sorry about the quality. I know that these numbers are kind of small, but just I'm going to zoom in on this last one. When you are calculating, you know y is 1/2. That's the y coordinate of all those points. You're looking for the theta value. So when theta is 5.76 in this case, that's going to give you an output of 0.5. So those are the values we're looking for. We're looking for those x's, which are your theta values. Sticking on the calculator, we will head to part E. So we'll head into our y equals. We'll hit 3 cosine. This time we're going to go x divided by 3, or you could make a fraction there, t divided by 3 or x divided by 3, same thing. And we're going to want to equal it to 2. So there's your y1 and your y2. Our window is going to need to change a little bit. Our amplitude changed. Let's make our y minimum -4, so I can for sure see the top and the bottom. 4, and then I'm going to count by ones. Then we get to our x window. Our x window is still 0 to 2 pi, because I'm going to find all the solutions between 0 and 2 pi. So we're good to go. So again, pause your video right now if you want to record that window into your calculator. Hit graph. There it is. So our period is, in this one, our period is 6. So we're not really seeing much of the graph, so we only have one intersection between 0 and 2 pi. So there it is. So we're going to hit second, trace, down to number 5. Get as close as you can to that intersection. Enter, 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 and we get 2.52. That's our only solution between 0 and 2 pi. On to the last one, cosine 1/4 theta. So delete this. Cosine 1/4 theta would be the exact same thing as taking your theta divided by 4. So you could do it like that. Or if you wanted to, alpha. Let's clear this out. Cosine, if you want to put it in exactly how you see it, alpha y equals 1/4. And then make sure you get out of the denominator there, put your x there. Either way, dividing by 4, timesing by 1/4 is the same thing. There's your cosine 1/4 theta. And we want that to equal to 1. Heading to our window. So our window, we went from -4 to 4. Now our amplitude is back down to 1. So I'm going to go from -2 to 2, so I can see the top and the bottom of my graph, and then I'll count by 0.5s again. There we go. So again, pause your screen if you want to see the window and put this into your calculator. Graph it out. So there we've got it. So again, 1/4 theta, that means there's only 1/4 of a cycle between 0 and 2 pi. So the period is 8 pi on this one. Very long period, like our last one was 6 pi. So now we're going to calculate. We got that one solution up there. We'll hit second, calculate, intersect, get as close as we can to where that intersection is. It's kind of an elongated curve there. Enter, 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 and x is 0 at that position. And you could always go back and check these. So just back to your main screen. Like that last one there, if I do cosine of 1/4, times 0. So that's what we got for that last solution. That should equal to 1. And there it is. So you could check that out and see to make sure. But again, there's your graph. Intersections, hit second, trace, and always set up your window so that you are able to see that window between 0 and 2 pi, and then also set up your amplitude so you can see the top and the bottom of your curves. So there we go for number 5.